Hey guys, I'm Torrin. Thanks for stopping by my art channel. Today's video is learning the basics of modern calligraphy. So we're going to start with some practice brush strokes, and then I'll show you how to do the alphabet and then a decorative alphabet, and then how you can put it together, and then even how to simulate it in case you don't have a brush pen at hand. So let's get our supplies. I'll tell you what they are in a minute, and I hope you enjoy and learn some tips to help you with your writing. So let's get started. Okay, so first up, the supplies we're going to need are a pencil to get you started and to practice with. Choose the softest pencil that you have. I'm using a 4B pencil. Then you need a ruler, a brush pen. I'm using a Tombow Furinasuke. Don't know if I'm saying that right, hopefully I am. A fine liner, which is just a uni pen 0.2 nib. And then some smooth paper. I'm using my sketchbook and it's very nice and smooth, so it's not going to destroy any of the bristles on my newly bought brush pen. And now we can get started. First, let's practice the basic strokes that form each letter of the alphabet. So the first stroke that you see me doing here is the upstroke. You want to use a diagonal motion and your hand needs to be kept very soft so that you get a thin upstroke. This is found on pretty much all letters, so it's definitely worth practicing. It's all about the pressure that you're applying. And now on the downstrokes, you want to do a much harder pressure. Not too hard, don't break the pencil, but just a very strong pressure that causes a thicker line, and that's what gives you that variation in the calligraphy. Now this stroke is called the overturn. So you're going to use that soft pressure as you go up in your stroke and then transition over and down into your heavier downstroke. If you keep doing these over and over, that's when you get really used to the motions, and that's when your calligraphy starts to really get mastered. So just do these as often as you can. And now I'm on to the underturn, which is just doing the same thing but in reverse. So you're starting on your downstroke, much heavier, and then transitioning up into your soft upstroke. Now we're moving on to the compound curve. That's when you're blending those two motions together. So starting soft, going up, turning over and bringing a harder stroke down, and then turning over again and transitioning into a soft upstroke. Now we're on to the ovals. Now these you want to start on the right hand side of your oval, but only a little bit down. So it's not right at the top of your oval. And then you want to bring your heavy stroke as you're moving down. So whenever you're moving your pencil downwards, it's going to be applying more pressure. Whenever you're going upwards in a stroke, it's going to be less pressure. So now I'm just going to show you how I'm doing it with the brush pen. So going up in soft motions, down in harder motions. Now once you've done all these strokes, you just keep practicing and practicing until your hand feels warmed up and ready to go confidently into moving on to the letters. On to the basic alphabet. So now we're just going to practice each and every letter of the alphabet using the strokes that we've just been practicing. What you'll see here is I'm actually using my sketchbook, but I've lined up my paper in basically 4 lines that are equal distance apart, giving you 3 spaces. So you've got the X height, which is your letter range in the middle, and you've got the ascending and the descending heights at the both top and bottom lines. So this is just a guide for you to get used to how far each letter comes up and drops down below those X height lines. So as you can see here, whenever I'm doing an upstroke, I'm using very light pressure. And whenever I roll into the downstroke, I'm increasing the pressure on the brush. I'm also holding my brush at like a 45-degree angle to the page. That just helps you get more control, and it allows your hand to evenly apply the pressure so that you're not getting lumps and bumps throughout your letters. If you wanted to practice this on a grid paper or pre-lined paper, that would definitely be a good idea. But I actually wanted to do this in my sketchbook just for filming purposes. But yeah, if you're at home and you've got lined paper or a grid paper, that would be the best option, I think, when you're practicing, so that you don't need to spend the time lining up your paper first. Now that I've done this basic alphabet, I'm going to show you how it looks when you add a little bit more flair to it on each individual letter. So here on the B, I'm doing some extra curves and rotations, just making each letter look a little bit fancier. And this is where you can really explore your own personal tastes. So I like things looking a little bit more curly, and so you'll see me here doing that on just about every letter. Please don't forget that if you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up down below. And if you want to check out how I use this calligraphy in my bullet journal for February, I'll link that down in the description box below. And then hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the videos that I release. So once you've worked out the entire alphabet and you've found what letters work for you in what styles, how many curls you've got, how much thickness you like, then you can really start playing around with actual words. You can try and link all these techniques together to form words. Here I'm showing you an example of a little phrase that I've created for these purposes, simple, beautiful lettering. So this is something you can do at home. Just choose something that has some letters that you love to draw. I don't know if I'm the only one that likes particular letters more than other letters, but this had a lot of my favorites in it, like S's and B's. Now on to bounce lettering. So we kept the baseline of all our letters on the same plane before, following the same line. To get that very whimsical kind of look happening in, if you were going to do a card or a poster, you actually want to bounce the lettering up from different baseline heights. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is continuing to write the same way I was before, but instead of starting each letter at the same point, I'm just moving it up or down each time to give it that kind of bouncing motion. You see this used a lot through Instagram posters, or if you were on Pinterest looking at quotes in calligraphy, you'll see this a lot. It just gives it more of a effortless kind of look to it. So yeah, I love to bounce, hence what I chose to write. And then I felt that I couldn't see it enough, so I just wanted to show you what it would be like on a long word. So I've done a very decorative C here, and then I'm showing you the calligraphy all on one level, and then it's dropping down for a few of the letters, keeping lots of curly lines, making it feel very decorative, and you really get a sense of that whimsical feeling, I think, anyway. So here I'm just pointing out how this is almost done on a wavy baseline. Instead of keeping that straight line, you see how each of my letters kind of jumps up from the original X height? So you're kind of compiling it in a way that looks beautiful. Now it's time to simulate calligraphy. If you don't have a brush pen or you're just not feeling confident in it, this is a really easy way to get your text to look like calligraphy when you're just using a fine liner. So start out writing your word as you would in a calligraphy or cursive script, using those same letter formations that we did in the beginning rounds. And then you're basically just on every downstroke thickening it up. So adding a second stroke on every downstroke and then filling that in with your fine liner. So as you can see here, it's already starting to look like real calligraphy, even though I started with one simple line and I'm just thickening it up as I go. To be honest, on most of my bullet journals, this is how I've done my text for months because I never had a proper brush pen. And then I finally got my Tombow Fudenosuke. I hope I'm saying that right. I finally got that pen and it just changed my life. It made it so much quicker. Like this simple word here, simple, took, I don't know, a few minutes, whereas the previous one using the brush pen took a few seconds. So if you're willing to give up that time and you don't want to have to buy a brush pen, then go for this. It has a great effect, but otherwise using the brush pen just saves you time and it just feels nice. It feels like you're doing something real. Let me know which kind of lettering is your favorite in the comments below, whether you like the bounce or do you prefer to keep it more basic. So I hope you picked up some tips today and figured out how you can get your cursive or calligraphy hand lettering to work for you. If you did find these tips helpful, let me know in the comments, or if you have anything to add for other viewers, then please let me know. And hopefully this is the first of many in this series, and I will see you all again in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.